Hello and welcome to this tutorial. Today I'm going to give you an overview of all the system. So we're talking about Hotspot Manager, and this is the first page that you see once you log into the system. We have this part here on the right with this dashboard. So the only thing that you need to know is that all this data are related to all your networks. So here we are talking about all the gateways that you have around the world. We have these widgets here on the top with the connected users, devices, new users. So if you're familiar with Google Analytics, you can find a kind of similar data. We try to use the same logic. You can also switch between different graphs and charts that we have here. So you can just take the information that you want to analyze and click and you're done. So you have or the hours of connection. Of course, here we have some kind of fake data for this demo. And then here we have this map where you can zoom in and you can click on the single gateway that you want to analyze, and you can click and open the context menu and go straight to the specific dashboard or other options that you have here on the menu. On the bottom we have this last system logs where you can analyze what's going on with the system. If you want more, you can click here on plus, and the system will load other data like context data, user domain, and social users, operating system, browser. So you have more info about all the network. I tell you once again, now we're talking about all the network. Then we will see that we have a specific dashboard like this for the single gateway, for the single installation. Another option is here on the refresh. You can click and choose the period you want to analyze, so you can set up a specific period, and if you click on the PDF icon here, you can download a PDF with the report, and you can just do whatever you want with that. On the left here we have this sidebar, and here we have 3 tabs. We start by analyzing the first one. So we click on general option, and the first menu is the general data. So here you just put the information of your company, so it's very easy. We have this fake information, but just fill this. You can customize the backend logo. So this is the logo that you can change with your own, and you can also have a different logo for the resellers. Languages, we provide the system with 5 default languages and with all the translations, so you have no problem. You can just do whatever you want. You can also edit the translation, and we will see, but you can also add up to 3 more custom languages. So you can just choose the type of language, you upload the flag, the text direction, right to left, left to right, and the text for the first additional language. This is another one. So this is what the user will see. Once you did this, you can go for a moment on data, and from the system level on the context menu we have translations, and here you can enter in the translations menu. So you can export. Basically what everyone is doing is just exporting the English version. So you just change the string of the English with your own custom language, and then you import it once again. You just switch between the different language here, and then you import it. So it's very easy, and you can do it offline. So you can send this file to one of the translator that you know, and then upload it once again, and you will translate all the front end. Always, we are always talking about the front end, not the back end. So for these languages you already have the translation, but you can edit, or you can add up to 3 more custom languages. This is the default template that you can set up for the system. We have also privacy policy and terms of service. These are quite similar, they work in the same way, and you can of course add your own privacy and terms of service. Here we are always talking about system level, so this is the default privacy and terms of service that are set up if there is no privacy and terms of service for the specific installation. So the system will get this. An important thing that we add is the versioning on this privacy and terms of service. So you can add different version and the revision date. So if there is a changing on one of these 2 options, something that is changed, so you change the text, you change the privacy, the system will detect this and will ask the user to accept this privacy and terms of service once again if it's not updated to the latest revision. So this is a part of the GDPR system that we are complaining on. So just remember this if you need to edit. Some custom CSS, always talking on the back end, so you can switch between different templates that we have, or you can use your own, so you just customize with CSS. with no problem. Let's say maybe this green is not your color, it's not the company brand image, maybe it's yellow, I don't know. So you just inspect this with the inspector, and then you choose you find the CSS, the selector that is related to that, and you change it. So if you're skilled with that, in a few minutes you will set up a different layout. So these are the general options. We go back to system settings. So now we start to talk about system settings, IP address, and all this stuff. So we have this GUID, and then we start to talk about network. So here you set up the settings in order to connect the system to your network. So IP address, DNS. But most important one here is the web server. So what you need to do is just to own a valid domain name. And to set up this, as you can see, and now we're working on this demo 51, so you just need to have one of this URL, one of this domain available, and redirect this to your installation. So once you did this, you are ready also to work with HTTPS. So we support SSL certificate. You can generate your CSR from here, and you can use the system with HTTPS. SMTP settings. So here with just a few clicks you set up your SMTP settings, and you're ready. The system is ready to send email with your own email address. So notification to you or just notification to the users, it depends. Later we will see when we can send email. We also work with SMS, so you can use different gateways. You can use an inside modem if you use USB modem with a hardware version, or the most used basically is the HTTP request. So here you can set up the information of the gateway, and the system will do the rest for you. So once you connect to this, the system will send SMS based on your needs. Always the number of the SMS. Here we can skip. Then we have the database optimization. So here you can clean some users that are not used, or other stuff that you can simply read here. But the most important thing is that from this menu you can set up the backup. So you can set up here the FTP server, and then you can schedule the backup of the system in order to store the file on the FTP server. The important thing that you need to know is that all the information that are stored on the system are stored on the database. So once you back up the database, just have a SQL file, and with that SQL file you can restore or you can do whatever you want. So you don't have a file system basically with all the files that you need to back up or do this kind of thing. You just download a SQL file, and with that you can restore. So just remember this. I will close this. Currency and payment. With these options we support almost worldwide currencies, so you can just choose the currency. Basically is the thing is that you can set up a main currency, and you can let the user pay with different currencies. So there is also a real-time exchange rate based on the moment of the transaction, and you will receive the payment, for example in this case in dollar, but your client could pay in euro. So there is no problem on that. Receipts, you can customize also the receipt of that. Later we will see also this detail, but most important here you set up the different payment. So let's say that you want to sell the connection, you need to have a valid gateway. So in this case we're just using PayPal, so you just set up the email. In case you use something more rich like this, PayFast, you of course need to enter on the PayFast administration tools and generate this kind of merchant ID and merchant key. You just paste it here and you're done. Or payment access, PayPal. So we have a solid structure behind this, and all these gateways are working great. Basically you can also authorize.net, so you just need to follow the simple authentication for any one of the single payment, and then you're ready to receive payment. External authentication. Now we move to the social networks world. So here we have this social network. So these are the social networks that we choose in order to be enabled to for the users to have to work with social login. So with just one click, the user can click on the Facebook login, and we collect information from Facebook in this case. So we work with these social networks. It works quite similar to the payment gateways that we saw before. So you need to enter on the social network tool, and you need to create an app and obtain an app ID and app secret. Since you have that information, you just copy and paste this here, and you're done. So it's very easy, and it's very easy for you and for your users, of your final users, because with just one click they can log in and surf, and you collect a lot of information. Just in case you don't use that social network and you want a different one that is not on a list, maybe it's something on a specific country where you live in, so you can, and it's based on the OAuth custom authentication, you can set up that social network. So you need to fill this information, and then you are ready to set up a social login based on the OAuth custom authentication. The same for the LED-up authentication of the Windows server. So here you just set up the server domain name, and the system is ready to let your Windows users to log into the system. Basically, this is good for companies. Here we can skip. These are just other information. We have the system log as we saw on the dashboard, but here is much more. You can also filter. You can see everything that was going on the system. And for the first time that you use this system, this is really important because you can understand what's going on. Documentation. So we spend a lot of time on the documentation. We have this administration manual that you can download. It's kind of 200 pages, but everything that I'm telling to you on this demo basically is well written here on the manual. We are always working on it, so if there is a new features, also the administration manual is updated, and this is what we can do in order to make it easy for you to use the system. Once you click on the updates menu here, you can find all the information related to the latest release, and you can choose if you want to update the system or not. So we work with the beta version and stable, so it's just up to you what you want to do. Of course, the stable is the version that we ask you to update. But if you need some features that are on the beta, maybe you can try also with that, depends on you. But just the stable is always stable, and the beta is always a beta, so you need to be aware of what you do here. But the main thing is that with just one click you update the system to the latest version, so you don't have to overwrite or download files or anything. The system will do a backup for you and will upgrade all the files with the new files with the latest version, so you don't have to worry about anything. The system will do everything for you. And this is the admin tab. Here on the bottom we have other options like this wrench tool that could be useful, because with just the one click you can run a backup or restore a backup from a previous file. So if you have a SQL file, you can upload that, or other options, try to send an SMS, try to send an email, import data from a previous system. So just remember this. And this is the admin tab. Now we are ready to go to the data tab. So here is the most important. This is the most important part of the system. So once we install the system for the first time, we have this system level. The first thing that you need to do is just to click here on the context menu and start to see what's going on here inside this menu. We have a lot of options, but let's say that the first thing that you need to do is to create the structure of your network. So we work with this kind of a reseller and manager logic. So the first thing that you need to do is just to add the reseller. Once you add the reseller, you have simply fields here that you need to fill with just the data, custom domain. Here you can also always overwrite the logo, SL certificate, specific SMS gateway, so and general options. But the thing is that you need to fill here the information of your reseller. It could be, but most of the time is like this, that the first reseller is your own company. So just try to imagine, maybe you just download the system, you're working with the system for the first time, and you want to try a gateway on your own office. So you will be the reseller, and under your reseller you will put always yourself also as a manager. So if you later we will see much better this, but let's say for a moment you just click on the reseller, you add the reseller, so you will be like in this situation. In this case we have these 6 resellers that could be, well, one, I told you, one could be your company, and one and the other one could be other companies that work for you and that resell Wi-Fi. But let's say that we are this first Wi-Fi reseller. So under this we can always click on the context menu. We need to add the manager. Once we add the manager, we have all this. In this case, we have these 5 managers. The manager is not a user, so sometimes there are some some of our clients misunderstand the concept of the manager. It's not a user, but it's a different figure inside the system. So we have the reseller and the manager. So the manager is the final user of the gateway. So it could be a hotel, it could be a restaurant, or it could be whatever you want. So this is the manager level. Once we add it, we have always the same field. So we have this general data with some information. So we have this kind of category. It could be a hotel, a beach, bus, camping, or whatever. So if you want, you can also categorize this. It could be useful once we are doing some advertising campaign. We can also choose to target the campaign on a specific category. But basically what you need to do is just the company name and some information here. Custom CSS, always privacy policy, as I was telling to you before once we were talking about the privacy. Here you can override the default privacy. So here you put the privacy of the hotel or the restaurant, whatever. So this is where you need to put that information. Always the version or revision date is available, or the specific SMS gateway. Once you create the manager, you are ready to add the gateway and the domain. So this is the structure that we have. Now I will explain to you in detail. So we have the reseller, we have the manager, and then we have the domain. The domain is a group of common features to the gateway. So for the moment, we just click on the context menu and we add the domain. The domain is the most important part of the system, but we will see this in a few minutes. For the moment, you just create a domain, you set up a name that you want, and then you are ready to add the gateway. Once you add the gateway, you have almost complete your configuration, because it's the gateway. The gateway page is where you choose the hardware type. So here, just to give you an idea, you choose the hardware that you're going to use. So we work with MikroTik, Ruckus, Cisco, Lego, Wave, Cambium, and these others. So we are always working on implementing this, but for the moment, these are the gateways that are supported. Well, the gateway is almost the final level. So here we talk about this. You can connect always the access point to the gateway if you want, but for the moment we just stop here. I just want to show you the gateway information. If you work with MikroTik, you have also these options that are available. So you can set up the SSID, the one port, the hotspot port, set up VPN. So you can also configure the fields, and then from the context menu you can download the configuration files. So there is also another video that talks about the configuration of the gateway. You can take a look at that and you will understand how to configure a gateway properly. But now I just want to show you all the structure. So let me go to another example that maybe it's much more clean, and is this. So as you can see, now we have this reseller with the manager, with the domain, with the gateway. Under the gateway we also add a map, zone, or floor. This is one of the latest features that we add that lets you add also the access points. So we enter here on the access points map, so you will understand now we have this map that we upload with all the access points that are placed that you can move, and you can also simulate the coverage of the single access point. If we go on edit, you can see that we have also the hardware type for the access point and the network settings. Of course, the coverage is just simulated. You know how much it covers inside your own the place where you install that, your own area. But what I want to show you is just this. So we have this access point that is connected to the gateway. The gateway, as we saw, is where you configure the hardware type. So you configure all these settings, of course, but most important, the hardware type, and the others, the configuration. And they are always, all the gateways that you have are part of the domain. Now we start to talk about the domain. The domain, as I told you, is a group of common feature to the gateway. So what is important to do is just to set up, of course, a name and the authentication mode. So here is where you choose which kind of method of authentication your gateways are going to use. So here you set up this. We have a lot of options, and now I just show you the most important one. So we just click here on the gateway level, and we have this user interface preview. Simply by clicking here, you can enter in the preview of the welcome portal. So this is what the user will see once they connect to the Wi-Fi. So just try to imagine you are on an airport. You just find a free Wi-Fi network, you connect to the Wi-Fi network, you start surfing on your own website. You want to check maybe, I don't know, ESPN news, and then you are redirected here to this welcome portal, and here you choose what you want to do. You can register, you can use the social login as we saw before, or if you were already registered, you can use your username and password in order to start surfing. So in this case, this is the method of authentication, so we are talking about this login. If we change something on the domain, I go back to the domain on the administration. Now with authentication mode, we switch to without registration or password, and we save. You could see that now the login is free. So the page is different. With just one click we can log in and start surfing. So it just depends on you what you want to do with your own gateways, with your own hotspots around the world. It could be that you have I don't know, a restaurant, maybe it could be free, but a hotel you want authentication or something. So just remember authentication mode, and with all these different options. On the manual we spend a little bit of time by analyzing this and explain to you which is the difference between these different authentication. But you could choose also other options that are related to the authentication mode. For example, like in this case, we try to simulate something. We go back, let me save, sorry. So we save with registration by the user, we go back, we refresh the app, and now we go back to our registration. If I click on register, you can see that now we have these fields like name and email and all this privacy and terms of service and marketing consent. If we want to change also this, we can see that now here on the bottom we have this data to customize user registration, and here we can choose different fields that we want to add inside the login app in order to customize that. So we click, for example, on the last name, we set it to yes, and we save. Now you can see if we refresh the app and we click on register that we have also this name, last name and email. So you can collect this information from the users. It depends on you. We have also all these fields are available. You cannot add custom fields. You need to use this. So it's very important for you to understand. And this is what you can do with the registration, with the normal registration. Let's say connected to this, there are the social login. As we saw, we go back for a moment. Now we have just this Facebook and Instagram. Let's say that we want to add also LinkedIn and Twitter. So we just check on this and we refresh the app, and now you should see also these other social networks. So with just one click, you can connect to the system. So you're redirected to Facebook. You need to log in. If you are already logged in, no problems, you're redirected once again on the welcome portal. But otherwise you need to click here and fill all your information, then you are redirected back to the welcome portal and you start surfing, and you collect all the information from it. We collect with the system collect all the information about the users. If we click here on the context menu, you will see all the users, but we'll see this later. Talking about the domain, I was telling to you that here we have authentication mode, then we have the welcome portal template. Later we will talk about also the layout part and the graphical part of the system. Here you choose the different template that you want to add. It could be that you have a default one, or you create a specific one for a specific location. So this could be another thing that you can do. Advertising, you can choose to enable or disable. This could be useful later. And then we have other options like the custom apps or injection. Custom apps, as you can see, are these apps here on the bottom. You can choose to upload custom apps, so you can create this external app like this that loads an external website, or an internal app with some content that you create inside the system, so there is no external call and you save a lot of bandwidth. And it's really cool for the users to find this kind of thing inside the welcome portal without being connected to the internet. And as I show you here, you choose the app that you want to load. External authentication, we already saw this. Options for the email, so we also have a verification of the email. This is a really cool feature that we add, because sometimes the email that is added to the system is most of the time is kind of spam if you don't have control on that. Now, the problem was that there is no control on the email because the user maybe is not connected to the internet. So what we thought it is to create a kind of a demo product, let's say, that you choose the length of this product, the duration of this product. So you create a product that lasts, I don't know, something like 2 minutes, and just the time to let the user receive the verification email. And on the click of the link inside the verification email, you associate to that user the real product. So we just give them a free product for 1 minute, 2 minutes. It depends on you. You can customize all these products. Later we will see also this. And then once they click on the link inside the email, so we verify the email, the new product is associated. Otherwise, if they don't click on the email, that product will expire. They will not be able to connect anymore. So this is the verification of the email. Of course, it's not mandatory. You can choose if you want or not. You can choose if you want to send an email notification. So you have the total control of this thing. You can also choose to redirect it to a separated page after the user is connected. You can also choose to enable the device recognition. This is really cool because you just log in with a credential for the first time. The second time you go back to the Wi-Fi network, the system will recognize your MAC address and will pre-fill your credential. So with just one click, you start surfing. You don't have to remember credential or just type something inside the fields. Then we have the products for the domain. This is very important. We will spend time on this later. And option for the languages and general options here. So here you can choose the specific language that you want to be added to the welcome portal. From this context menu here on the top right, you can switch between the different languages. So if there is the language and the browser is set up on the language, we show the system in the default language of the user. So you can switch between the languages and you can choose some languages to be shown or not. So this is an overview of the domain settings. I tell you once again, the most important part is this one here on the top, where you choose the authentication mode. So the first question that you need to ask you is which kind of method of registration you want for the users. I want it free, I want to collect information from the users, which kind of information I want to ask. So here we're talking about registration. Then you can choose if you want to make it free or not. So connected to this, there is also the product thing. Now I just go back here on the example. So we just put here some info. Okay, just to enter on the next page. So in this case we are asked to buy a product or to use a free product. So this is an example that I create in order to show you all the possibilities that you have with the product. So as you can see, the first one is the purchase through voucher. So with the voucher you can redeem a voucher. We will spend time on this later also, but for the moment I want to focus on the product. So you can see we have this $5 product and these 2 hours of internet free, and also these other free. This is an example. It's very hard to find because we have multiple free products, but let's say that basically you can have a free product or a premium product. In order to create this, we need to go back, and as you can see, these are all the products that are available to the system. So you can click, you can delete a product if you want to be not part of this domain. So these are all options and products that you can choose to add, of course, if you want. But the most important part is to create this product. So in order to create the product, we need to click here on the manager level, because this product is available to the domain, and start by analyzing the product policies. So from the product policies, now we just edit an existing one, but it's the same of creating a new one. You can set up some technical information about the connection. So we have this download data rate, upload data rate, daily time, monthly time, daily traffic. So you can limit the connection based on your needs. So if you have a kind of slow bandwidth, maybe because you are in an area that has no fast internet, you can try to limit the download and upload data rate for the free users maybe, and you can create another policy for the premium users with different numbers here on the download and upload. So this is another idea. Once you create your privacy policy, you're ready to create the product. So we just click on product, we add, and here you choose and you apply the privacy policy that you create before. This is how it works. So here, first of all, the policy, and then you associate the policy to the product. You have also the description, the name, so it will be this one, super fast product, for example. So here you have the final name of the product, the final name that the user will see. You can also override some settings if you want to maintain just a single policy and you want to change just a few features. And so now we are ready to go back to the domain and to associate the product that we create before to the domain. So now this product will be available for the user and they can buy. If we click on the premium product, you will be redirected to this page, and here the payment of gateway that you choose is available, and the user can pay through PayPal in this case. Or in case the product is free, because you don't set up a price on that, you can simply click and use this product until the product expires. So this is what you can do with the products for the domain. It's very important for you to detect and to find the right product for your own installation. So my advice is to create a specific product anytime and choose to limit that product based on the speed of the connection and to the needs of the final users. So this is what you can do. We have also other options like the possibility to assign free product automatically, so the user will not see this page, it will be redirected straight to the free product. So if there is a free product, they will be automatically associated to that. The voucher is another thing. If we click on voucher, you can see that now we have this space where we can put some code that we can redeem. So in order to do this, it's very easy, because you just click here on the domain level and you have voucher management. From the voucher management, you can choose to, now I just click a new one, add a new one. You can choose the product which you want to associate to that code. So we have these 2 hours. You can set the price if you want, the expiration, and then you can save. Once you save, you are ready to print that, and now we will see it's also customizable. There are some options here on the top, graphic customization, where you can customize the voucher in order to print this and to show some information to the users. But the most important thing is this code. So this code will be, the user will be redeem this super fast product. So they just need to click here and activate, and that product is associated. The cool thing about the product, and the most important thing, is that there is a big difference between vouchers and cards. So the vouchers, as we saw, they have a code that is long and need to be redeemed from the users. So before entering here on the voucher, the user need to fill their information. So we collect information from the users with the voucher. With the card, it's different, because we already give to the user a username and password, and they start browsing. So with just one click, I show you how you can create a card. As you can see, we have this card management and we have this voucher management. So these are 2 different things. They are very similar, but they are also different with different logic, because here, as you can see, we have this username and password. So if we give this card to a user, the user will put their information here, and it's a kind of anonymous user, so we don't know anything about him. We just know this username and what this username will do, so the download and all the other data, but we don't know who he is. With the voucher, the user need to register, so we collect a name, last name, and email. This is very important for you to understand. Talking about user data, the thing that you can do is from the context menu here, you can enter in display all users, and here you have the list of all the users of the gateway. So inside the domain there are all these users. You can see this red dot if they're not connected, or green of course if they are. And you can enter also on the specific dashboard of the specific users. So in this case I already create this user, it's a kind of fake user, and we have no data on this. Let me see if we have something here that is a little bit older, but this is a demo version. But basically this is a specific dashboard for the specific user, so you can see the download, the upload, the hours of connection, so you have all the information. In case you want to export the data of the user, just click here on the context menu and you have these tools for managing data. This is really cool because we added this filter possibility where you can create specific Excel file with all the needs that you have. Let's say that you want to export only the I don't know, Italian users, for example, so the country is Italy. You can add also a rule here where you set up the country is equal to Italy, for example. This could be a thing. Or you want to export only the Gmail email because you want to do some kind of filter, you can do it. You can also combine different filters. Once you create the rules that you want, you can run this and download the Excel file with all information. We made this in order to let the user filter the data before exporting, so you will save a lot of time. Also you will save a lot of CPU. If you have millions of records, it's very useful to go straight on the point that you want to analyze. You can also delete registered user based on rules. You can import users from previous file, previous installation. So we have these tools for managing data that is really useful for your marketing thing. We don't have a newsletter system inside the Hotspot Manager. You can export this and use MailUp or MailChimp or any other external newsletter settings. So basically, this is an overview of the settings of the domain as we saw before. So we saw general data with administration authentication mode, with the different authentication. You can play with that. The template now we will see, and all these other options like custom apps, the data to customize user registration, external with the Facebook login, the option for the email, redirection, device recognition, product. So I tell you once again, products are very important to create specific product for a specific domain, and then you can connect this product to vouchers and cards. So basically this is an overview of all the domain. Talking about templates, now we will go on detail on this. So I just move to the welcome portal. And well, I told you this is the page that the users see once they log into the system. It's customizable by you in all the way. So we have this logo here on the top that it's possible to edit now. And also all the other part like background, image, the text, the font. Also inside this sidebar, so you have a lot of options. Let's go back for a moment here on the domain, and we click here on templates. If we click on templates, we can see that we have this template available. This template is on this domain level, so it will be available only to this festival level, in this case to this manager level. But if you want, you can also click on the system level and create different templates, as I have here. For these templates will be available to all the network. So now I just edit this, so I show you what you can do. On the general options you have the name, some notes if you want for your designers, and here on definitions you set up the main title. So you can see this barbecue festival with this logo, the best hamburger in town is this one. So barbecue festival, the best hamburger in town, so with the logo. So you can customize this in order to edit the front end. Multi-language settings right here on the page, very fast, very cool. With just a few clicks you can edit the different options. Here we have the intro. We didn't show that, now I show you this, because you can also set up an intro with a skip time here and maybe a YouTube video, like in this case. If I save and I refresh, you will see that now we are not prompt on the welcome portal page, but we have this video that we need to watch for 5 seconds, and then we are able to skip and enter. So you can present any kind of information based on the YouTube video, of course. We support also other type of intro. It could be just a static image or a hotspot location image, Flickr image based on the photo set, so external URL, MP4 video. It's just up to you what you want to do. For the moment we just set this to no. The background, as we saw, it's very easy to understand. We have this URL. You can also paste here an external URL from the internet, but just remember, if you have a lot of users, a lot of connection, it's always good to save bandwidth. So we create this custom image logic because from the always from the domain level you can enter on custom images, and you can see that I just upload this image here, and once I have my the ID of the image, I'm ready to use that ID here with this syntax. So we save a lot of bandwidth because the image is loaded from the system, not from the internet. Here we have the apps. These are the default apps. We saw only the login app because it's the most important one, of course, but we have also the info where you can present the service or use it for any kind of marketing thing with no problems. Then we have the weather app that is based on the location of the gateway. So here we have this weather based on the weather channel. We have also this around me map that you can use in order to present some content around the world, and the custom apps that I showed you before, so with just external app with external website, or an internal app with an internal content that is hosted inside the machine. The default app that is open could be set up here, and you can change also other options like the shape of the icons, could be square or just rounded or any other. You can exclude if you want some app from the system. Maybe you don't want the around me app, you can just check and disable that. On colors, you can customize the colors. So if you're skilled with CSS, you can do it manually, but if you want, let's say that you don't want this kind of the top here, maybe you want to add some opacity, so we just go here on the header background, and maybe we can just change this or change something different to another. So with just a few clicks you can customize this. Also custom HTML, custom CSS, and custom JavaScript. On the new version 7, we are working on a complete redesign of this tool, because you can also customize the HTML of the system. So for the moment you are locked in this layout, but on version 7 you can also create your own HTML with your own information and just use some kind of syntax in order to add content. So we will have a separate video on that maybe. So this is the template, and these are the specific settings for the specific app. So we have this barbecue header here, and here we have this one, so you can understand how it's working. We have some text, images, translations, so we just need to spend a little bit of time on these field sets in order to understand where they're going. And login app works on the same way of the other. You can see we have an image with text, CSS, JavaScript, so you can create also beautiful animation or whatever you want. So this is what you can do with the templates. I have also other example. Let me open another one just to show you something a little bit different. Like this one could be another one with always with a Wi-Fi menu with 1 hour of Wi-Fi for $0.99. Also the login app is a little bit different. This one is blinking. It's only CSS, so it's very easy to do, but it's very different for the users to find a page like this than a standard page or kind of boring page. So these are the templates. Once you create your template, like in this case we create this festival template, we just need to go here on the domain. So here we go back to the domain on this level, and we associate that domain, we associate this template to the domain. So here we have welcome portal template, and we set up this template, we save, and now that template is applied to the domain and to the gateways. This is what you can do with that. So this is a first overview of the most important settings of the system, basically. So what do you need to do as a first thing? We just give you a review of what we said before. You enter from the system level, you click on the add reseller, you add the reseller. From the reseller you add the manager. That is not a user, but it's a level, so it's a different structure. From the manager level we add a domain, and from the domain we add the gateways. If you want, you can also add the access point. So this is the structure, and this is how you need to do what you need to do for the first time in order to configure the system. There are also other possibilities like advertising, as I told you before. Let me close this and I will show you something that you can do, because for example, we can create something much more specific, like this one. This is another example of what you can obtain with the advertising. So we click here on the preview of this example, and now left and on the top. So these banners are shown not just with CSS or just static HTML, but there is a logic behind this. There is a campaign with advertising. So every click is tracked and all the information are tracked. So what you need to do is simply adding, you can see that we have this pink level with a new figure, there is the advertiser. So if we click on add advertiser, you will enter on this information, so just simply data of the advertising company, and inside this you will have more campaign that could be added. This depends on the license. If you add a campaign, let me just open an existing one so you will understand much better. We have these general options with definition, so like kind of name of the campaign, start date, end date, so if you want to limit the period, the time zone, of course, the frequency. If you have more than one campaign running at the same time, you can have also different frequencies, so one campaign will be shown more than another. Prices, so you can set up the total budget of the campaign. So let's say that you have some money, and you can limit the daily budget and the click cost based on the impression costs, and of course this will limit your budget so the campaign will last the period that you want. You can choose to geolocate the campaign on a specific address. So let's say that you have multiple gateways around a specific area. You can choose to set up a distance from a main point, like 5 kilometers, and all the gateways that are inside this this area that you create with a central point on the address will see the different advertising. Then we have the intro, that is the same intro of the other options that we saw before on the templates, but this will override that. So this will win. I mean, between the two, if you have an intro on the ads, will always override the default intro. And then we have the banners. So we have top banner, left banner, and right banner. So these are banners that are shown on the page. Once we start to collect information about the campaign, we enter on the specific dashboard of the campaign, so advertising dashboard, and here we can see all the clicks that are tracked, all the impressions, the CTR, and we can also enter on the different number of impressions, clicks. We have these charts where we can analyze everything that was going on with the campaign. We can also enter here on daily summary of the campaign and see every single impression, single click that is listed here, so you're sure that all your data are safe. You cannot edit this, of course, because the campaign it's important to be really solid. You don't have to edit data, you just present the data that you want. You can also choose the period of the report here, or choose to export a PDF. So this is what you can do with the campaign. As you can see, now that I refresh, this is the intro of the campaign. And then we have these banners here as we saw before. So now they are also I just set up this period of just 1 second just to show you the different campaigns that are running on the same time. So every time the user, every, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds you can set up, the banners will change, and every click, of course, as I told you, is tracked. So this is how the campaign is working. You can create an advertising level, like we saw, a kind of advertising company with all the different campaigns that are available to all the manager of the reseller, or like in this case we have this reseller level. This is another example. We have this reseller level with all these managers, and the campaigns that are inside this ad agency are available to all these managers. So this is what you can do. Just in case you want to create simply a campaign for a specific event, and you don't want and you don't have an advertising agency figure, you can simply create from the context menu a campaign. And so in this case, you have the campaign that is running close to the domain. So in a few clicks, you can set up your campaign with all the same information like banners, logo, and all the stuff that we saw before. Also, activation hour is another option that we have, because maybe you can just schedule a campaign to be running just on lunchtime or dinner time. So it depends on the information that you want, and you can of course take a look at this. We have also the explanation here on the right that will explain to you. Now I'm just giving. Okay, now I give you an overview of all the other settings. The most important things I already told you, but there are also hundreds of features because the system is really rich. But what I want to show you is that we saw, for example, here on the domain we have the possibility to add the gateway. As we saw, you can add a user, a single user, edit, copy, cut and paste. So this is the thing that you can do also on all the other levels. So you can create a domain, then with all the information you can copy and paste it on another place. Card management, the dashboard of the domain, of course. Filter and display all the connected users or all the users, depends. In this case we are talking about admin users also, because one of the things that I didn't tell you is that the system is also multi-tenant. So you can create system users level. So if we click here on the context menu and you enter on reseller system user, you can see, you can understand what I'm talking about. Now I just edit this user and we have also the permissions. So you can create a reseller with some specific permission. For example, you can just do everything, but they cannot play or create templates or managing products. So this is what you can do with the multi-tenant users. We have also the multi-tenant users for the manager. So here we have manager system users. So this is the final user. Just try to imagine a hotel. You can create a user with credentials that is limited, and maybe they can just check on the users and create cards and vouchers. They cannot edit settings or network settings or stuff like this. So this is another important thing that I didn't tell you. So these are all the users, the list of access points, the list of gateways. So here you have simply the list if you want to go straight on the point. Custom apps, as we saw, custom images, surveys and tests. Now I want to show you this because this is very important. It's part of the advertising module, and yeah, it's really cool, and it's also easy to set up. The survey are another important part of the system because they are related to the advertising module. They are part of the advertising module, and if we click here on survey, you can see that we have this survey. You can edit. So this is the page of administration of the survey. But before doing this, I want to show you the survey in real time. I mean, you can see here we have another example of an airport, for example, and we have this survey icon here. If we click here, you can see that we have this information. So we have this intro, text, and we have this rating system. So we can choose how satisfied are you with the airport, or we just click on this. We have this type of questions. You can see this star rating questions. We have this radio. We have open text. We have also another option like this, and then checkbox. So you can limit everything. You can continue, and we can send the survey. The system will let you create survey simply by creating questions, adding questions to the system, and collect information and collect answers. So we have this intro text, as we saw, where we want to show that survey. We have also the start date and end date if you want to limit this on a specific period. And most important, we have here questions and answers. So here you create your question, like how satisfied are you with the airport, for example. We have a description that lets you explain what this question is about, and the question type. So on the question type, you choose the type of question as we saw before. Now it's not available anymore because we already filled it, but it's rating scale. So this was the star question, or we have note, number, options, tags, multiple choice. So you can also set a value on the different answers, and so you have a report. These are all the options that you can create. Now if we enter here on we go back, sorry, to the survey and we can enter on the dashboard, we can see that we have also some information about the survey that were filled. Let me filter this for a period that is much more longer. Maybe we can have more data like this. Okay, now I just have this, but no problems. We just have this field survey, that's for the moment. So we have this survey with the minimum score, maximum score, average. You can filter between the different questions, so you can enter on the single question of the survey and analyze what's going on with that answers. So like in this case we have these answers, the worst, the best, the last. So we have a lot of options and we have an overview of the different surveys. We can also enter on the results. So here we have a list of all the results of all the users, and we can also click and enter and print the single survey. So this was the survey that were filled for that user. So you can print this and show this to one of your clients or colleagues or whatever. So this is how the surveys are working. You can choose to show them as an app or just on the login, so you can force the user to fill the survey in order to obtain maybe a voucher or a card or whatever. So this is an overview of all the system. The last thing is just this search here, that it's really useful because you can filter between all the settings of the system. Maybe you're just looking for a template and you search for a template and you find it and you enter straight of that. Or if you're looking for a user or just an email, maybe you can search for the Gmail email. In this case we don't have anything. You can search for name. And so here you have the name of the users. You can enter on the dashboard. You can choose to print a card or recharge or export the log. So you have a lot of options here on the search. It's very fast because it's categorized, so you can limit this. And with the multi-tenant feature, for example, you can just give access to a user to the search, so they can just search users, and from here maybe they can just print or send the credential once again with the email or with the SMS. It depends on you. So this is an overview of the system. Of course, as I told you during the presentation, we have hundreds of features that I didn't explain to you, but let's say these are the most important ones. So if you're familiar with this, so we start by the first one on the admin with general options, as we saw, with some general settings, system settings, where you put all your network information and SSL certificate, SMTP, SMS settings, external authentication for the social networks, these are important, documentation for the manual, updates for the latest version in order to update. Then we have the data, and here you configure the network. So with just one click you configure the network and you're done. So this is what the system is about. If you want, you can contact us from our website, and maybe we can help you to find which is the better solution for you. So you can talk with me, or we can talk to the sales department, and we will find what is good for you and for your business. If you have any questions, you can comment here, write on the comment here, or you can use our forum to find our other information. All the links are here on the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Bye.